sometimes there's just no good answer. You know, I think everyone, hindsight is 2020, and that is magnified with the Ryder Cup. You know, you can talk about the pairings, and we are going to talk about the pairings, and you can talk about the captain, you can talk about the golf course. Like, Europe is just better at this. They just are. And I thought the conversation about we should make it Team North America versus Team Europe, like, I can't think of a more un-American idea, nor would any player from Canada or Mexico have made this team. But I kept looking last night for reasons why the U.S. keeps losing, and they're really hard to summarize. They're really hard to put into words.
Because they're qualitative, not quantitative.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. And it was a feeling that we saw from Friday morning. It was like after that first session, 3-1, it was like, oh my God, here we go again. And I don't think that this is Keegan Bradley's fault. We're going to talk about that in detail. But first, let's talk about the individuals, because I do believe that individuals, players, win or lose the Ryder Cup. And because Europe has been so dominant, the records of our great players in the last 30 years are downright depressing. So Phil Mickelson is the all-time leading U.S. Ryder Cup point getter. He's 18, 22, and 7 in his career. Tiger Woods is 13, 21, and 3. Jim Furyk, 10, 20, and 4. Brooks Koepka, 7, 6, and 2. He's got a winning record. And Dustin Johnson has a winning record at 12, 9, and 0. But Jordan Spieth is 8, 9, and 5. And Scottie Scheffler is now 3, 6, and 3. All of our best players who are better than the Europeans on their own ball, there's something that happens in this competition where they shrink a little bit. And I don't think that Scottie necessarily played horrible this week, but the Europeans just played better. And if you look at the European records of their greats recently, Sergio Garcia is 25, 13, and 7. Ian Poulter, 15, 8, and 2. Rory McIlroy, 19, 14, and 5. Jon Rahm, 9, 5, and 3. Justin Rose, 16, 10, and 3. Tommy Fleetwood, 11, 4, and 2. The only one who has a bad record is Padraig Harrington, is 9, 13, and 3, and he was the losing captain at Whistling Straits. So other than Padraig, it's been a full generation, maybe even 2 generations of dominance. So Phil Mickelson, like I said, he's our all-time leading point getter. He has 21.5 points. Sergio Garcia, Bernard Longer, Lee Westwood, Colin Montgomery, Seve Ballesteros, and Nick Faldo all have more points. And Rory is now even with him. Rory has 21.5 points now in the Ryder Cup. Their players elevate themselves on this week, and our guys get beat. Even the best ones.
I was thinking about Scottie specifically this morning on the drive in, and I was wondering, and I'm curious what you think about this, if the way that he wins and the way that he dominates is so different than the way you win in a Ryder Cup match when you have a player, even in a singles match, that it doesn't like fit his mode. He's kind of like I'm going to slowly, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, you can't win that way in match play. And I just don't think it's necessarily set up for his mentality, maybe. Like,
well, I think we see this, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I'm of two minds here, because it's like, the evidence is clear, but it's like, it's so hard to put into words that feeling that these Europeans have toward the Ryder Cup. I don't think it's a lack of effort necessarily from the U.S. team. I just think it's a lack of collective spirit. Like, the U.S. team crushed them in singles. I mean, crushed them 8.5 to 3.5. Like, that is tied for the most dominant performance ever since there's been 12 players playing in the Ryder Cup.
Now that you say it, when you think about the 2 days versus the 1 day, it kind of defines the dichotomy of the Ryder Cup.
It does.
Right?
They won it with their team. And, you know, I think if you look at the American side, how many guys jump off the page as, like, Ryder Cup dogs? Maybe JT?
Yeah.
You know, JT, maybe Bryson.
Emerging, yeah.
That's it. You think about Xander, he's a cool customer, quiet guy. Patrick Cantlay, he's not going to be the guy to light up a crowd. Scottie Scheffler, right? Like, all the talk is that, you know, he's so boring or whatever it is. Sam Burns, quiet guy. Like, even Cameron Young, who was amazing this week, quiet guy. You go over to the European side, and they have Rory and Rahm and Fleetwood and Rose And those guys all feel like future Ryder Cup captains. Who feels like a future Ryder Cup captain in this American crop besides Justin Thomas? I don't know if there's one. It's really hard to be someone completely different 1 week a year. And I think the prevailing notion from the American side, and if you read Shane Ryan's book, The Cup They Couldn't Lose, about the 2021 Ryder Cup, he talks about how they basically, the strategy was let these players be that they're the best players in the world, let them do what they do. And I think these guys don't want to manufacture that sort of play for the badge spirit, but maybe they need to.
See, I feel differently. I think the instinct is to say, like, how can we recreate the magic that happens in Europe? And I think that's a cultural thing that we can't recreate.
Yeah, it is. It feels like a cultural thing.
So maybe the Americans need to lean into American culture a little bit, which you can say what that is. I don't know if it's probably pretty eclectic, but they need to do something completely different that's very in their identity.
Right, but we're talking about all of this, and then it's like golf is a sport that's different than every other sport. It's like it's putts. Like, do the putts go in or do the putts not go in? The Americans could not make a putt the first 2 days.
Pressure putts is the Ryder Cup. Yeah.
They made all the putts. The Americans made most of the except for Russell Henley, who that was a felony offense, leaving that putt short on the 18th hole.
And that sucks because
Russell Henley
playing so well.
So well. Him and Shane both played extremely well in that match. Like, it was two of the best sessions that anyone from both teams played all week. But Russell Henley is the number 3 player in the world. How much more comfortable did he look on his own ball than playing with a team? We just can't figure out the team session. We can't figure out foursomes. We can't figure out 4-ball. Just can't figure it out.
What's the secret to ham and egg, right? Is it like emotional and spiritual? It's got to be, not physical.
You know, having been on site this week, like I don't think it's a lack of effort from the American team, but you can't fake that, like, spirit.
Things that get you going.
Things that get you going. Like the European teams they looked closer. They looked a little bit closer. And I don't think that's the captain's fault. What is Keegan going to say? Hey, can you guys just like each other a little bit more? Can you guys like just bond a little bit closer? Every American said Keegan's been an unbelievable captain. The spirit in that room was absolutely incredible. Are we just saying like those guys are liars and they don't actually know what good spirit looks like?
I think good spirit can come in many forms.
I know that I'm all over the place here, but we've lost 11 of the last 15 of these things. And the PGA of America, you know, after a bunch of, I would say, uninspiring captains, they went with this like emotional spark plug in Keegan, and every player said that like Keegan's been unbelievable throughout this process. And they almost came back, and it's, you know, this is a results business. Just sports is a results business. If Russell Henley makes that putt and Bryson, you know, gets it closer on 18 and, you know, he flips that match, the narrative is completely different. But you can't, I can't deny what my eyes see a little bit with the team component. It's not a thing in singles. The Americans were on fire in singles. Ben Griffin was firing the crowd up. Cameron Young was going crazy. It's the team when they're playing alongside one another where they just don't seem to be as comfortable. I don't know if it's because we don't play it growing up. I don't know if it's because the President's Cup, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But there's something going on where Europe, and I say this is the players, the players seem to be more engaged, and they seem to elevate their game more in those team formats than the Americans do.
I still go back to like it's a cultural thing that if the Americans are going to try to recreate it, they're going to fail over and over and over again. There's something, I don't want to sound like anti-American, don't get me wrong.
I mean, you are wearing the blue and yellow.
But there is something about like the European disposition and like how they live over there that's like, there's a
collective spirit.
Well, no, it's almost, there's an embrace of simplicity over there too. Like in America, American culture is all about like hyperbole and the biggest and the longest and me and the selfishness. I think, you know, I can make it on my own. Like I did this by myself. That's sort of an American thing. Like the American dream exists. The European dream is almost like more community based than the American dream. And I think that's a thing that weighs over these teams as they get together and gets more saturated on the European team than it can on the American team. And
like I said earlier, success just begets more success. So, you know, Europe always talks about playing for the guys before them. And it's like,
yeah,
when you think about Ian Poulter, you don't think about individual events.
No, you think about the Ryder Cup very specifically.
You think about the Ryder Cup. And I think, you know, in 10 years or 15 years, when these guys think about Justin Rose, the Europeans at least, they're going to think about the Ryder Cup. Whereas Americans, we think about Justin Rose, we think about him winning the US Open and getting to number 1 in the world. Like the Ryder Cup just has this pedestal in the European golf ecosystem that it doesn't seem to have in the American one. I know that I'm talking a little bit out of both sides of my mouth here, but I catch myself thinking, well, they just made more putts, and I don't think the Americans are not trying hard enough, but you can't manufacture the belief. You can't manufacture that spirit.
It's confusing because there's a lot
really
of
confusing
dynamic that goes into it. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who in your mind are the American golf elders that could come together to really like try to inspire that kind of spirit?
Well,
and what do they need to do?
We've gotten our ass kicked so many times that I don't. If Tiger's, I think I think Tiger has to be the captain at Adair Manor because we need to go big.
Where was he this year though? Like, what was he in those? He wouldn't.
I don't know
in
where
the team room. Like,
I don't know where he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, Europe seems to have this like core of Luke Donald and Dodo Molinari's become a huge part of it, and Thomas Bjorn and these guys who are like there every single year. I don't know. Phil's basically just said he's done.
that sucks.
Furyk, yeah, it does suck. Furyk is not a Ryder Cup guy with 10, 20, and 4, and captained a brutal loss. And
I mean, it's not
Davis
it's not
Love
Jack,
is Davis Love is those guys are too old. Like there's a lack of.
Is Freddie interested? Like,
yeah, I think Freddie is interested, and Freddie's been around Ryder Cup teams before. But when you get your ass kicked and your ass kicked and your ass kicked, it almost feels like they're starting from scratch.
everyone's got to get mad though and come together about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't just be like, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked.
And I hope that the singles comeback doesn't make everyone feel like kind of okay, because it's not okay to lose Ryder Cups at home. It's just not.
It's a 3-day event. You can't play well one day.
And Keegan said in his interview afterwards, he's like, we had a lot of fun today. We had all of our fun in one day at the Ryder Cup. They were dead for the first 2 days, but it was Europe made every single putt that they looked at.